opportunity isn't just there. It is in everything that surrounds them: the data, the infrastructure, the payments, the digital public services, the logistics, all that power modern cities and economies. And that's where regions like Kurdistan can actually leap ahead. Today, we're joined by three wonderful panelists. Dr. Ulf, chairman of Richtarian Infrastructure and Partners. He's an expert in energy, renewable energy, and tech, and is particularly how we can tie AI and energy together. Mr. Brisk Awat, head of KRG's digital development, the architect behind the region's digital identity and population systems. And Faris Suhail, COO of Paynest, based in Dubai, a company with real innovation in fintech and digital payments. Thank you all for being here.
You're welcome.
Everyone talks about AI as if it's this big thing, but actually there's a whole chain behind it: data, infrastructure, applications, regulation, and talent. Dr. Ulf, let's start with you. Can you expand on this topic from your own personal experience and what your company does today?
First of all, thank you all for having me here. It's my very first time in Erbil. It's my second time in Iraq. I'm originally from Germany, based in Hong Kong. I have to explain you a little bit my personal journey so you understand where I come from. I'm originally a university professor, went into energy, went into project development, and I've been typically following what China has been doing. The reason was that over the last 20 years, the big story was China's development, and essentially they built a continent. That has changed. And over the last couple of years, and today that's clear to everyone, the next big development is, of course, artificial intelligence and the whole supply chain around it. And myself, I've been focusing on energy and power because the argument in China, and this is, again, I give you a German perspective as well, the argument in China had been, if they want to develop the continent, they need cheap power. And cheap power was originally coal, later oil and gas, somewhat renewables. Now we see the revival of nuclear, hopefully in the future, fusion. Now, ever since AI came into the picture, this question has become ever more urgent. AI is considered to become one of the major consumers of power, and most of the power that will be needed for future applications will come from data centers, hyperscalers, anything around building the AI infrastructure. And a lot of countries are now concerned how they can become competitive in the AI landscape by focusing on how to become competitive in power. And I can tell you from my own country, we just announced a $10 billion investment, and of course not we as Germans, Deutsche Telekom, Schwarzgruppe, which is the owner of Lidl, in order to re-enter, so to speak, the AI field and build a big data center in Germany. But as you probably all know, ever since we have a little war in Europe, the power has become very expensive and is one of the key problems to solve for us to be competitive with the United States and with China. Now, I'm very concerned about places that do not have cheap power because they may not be able to be competing in the AI revolution in the future. Data centers do consume a lot of power. I work a lot in Indonesia recently, and I'm telling my Indonesian friends the very same thing. They have a very large country. They have almost 300 million people population. They should own their own data. They should be able to secure the future of their future generations and the data, control the data, of course. And as such, the power question has become very, very key. So my company, you can guess what it does. We focus on power projects, but AI-enabled power projects. That means hyperscalers, data centers, and what kind of power solution may be chosen for that. But as a last sentence for this particular introduction, I think this is a mega trend that will stay with us for the next 10, 20 years. We have to change our energy systems. We know it from the climate debate. Sorry. We know it from the climate and ESG debate. But now it has become extremely urgent because it has a lot to do with national competitiveness as well, and even regional competitiveness. And if you listen today to the US government, they gave a speech earlier, Vance gave a speech earlier this year at the Munich Security Conference in Germany, and made it very clear that US wants to own AI. China said, okay, we also will own our own AI environment. But nobody talks about anybody else. And in the US, they only consider China as a real competitor. So I keep that as a question here, as a question mark, so to speak, out in the room. But what I do think is it is a complex problem to solve, and power will be one of the key problems to solve in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ulf. Now let's move on to Mr. Brusk. Your team has built the digital population systems and digital IDs in the Kurdistan region. You have already registered more than 2 million people. So could you tell us, why is digital identity such a critical building block in the AI and value tech chain?
Thank you so much, Darina Khan. First off, it's a great pleasure to be here and be part of this incredible mix of pioneers and great minds in business. I think in order to give you a better idea of why digital ID is so crucial to digital transformation, I need to give you a bit of history of how government modernization has been done and what has gone through. In the past decades, and I think in even early 2000s and on, governments started what we call electronic governments or e-governments. And it has a very simple idea. Basically, you like to move existing government procedures and paperwork into computers, right? So just basically digitize them. You will then, the attempt here is just to replace the old school model of governance and bureaucracy with computers, and replacing perhaps points of service with websites where you go and download content and upload forms, etc. This does a lot of great things. It's not to undermine it at all, but it is one of the first stages of digitalization. The area that we are living in now is called, what we are doing is digital government, which is quite a different concept. In digital governments, you're not only electronizing the procedures, you're basically building everything around digital, right? Digital is not the final stage in the production line where you fine-tune it and you make it digital. Actually, the entire procedures is digital first, right? And you re-engineer procedures, government processes, etc., around digital government. Now, there is a common misconception commonly held by people that the KRG didn't have good enough or enough digital services or electronic services. While this statement is not entirely wrong, the main problem of government's efforts when it came to e-government was the creation of what we call data silos, right? And silos is in food is good, but in digital it's not. It's very, very bad. And the reason digital data silo is bad is once data becomes isolated, it's not communicated, it's not integrated well with anything else, it becomes useless, right? It's just you reduplicate the effort everywhere else in the health system, the education system, in taxes. You go on to duplicate effort as you go. Kurdistan's digital ID is our response and our mechanism to save government systems from data silos. Now, since 2021, we have registered more than 2 million people, and the process of getting digital ID is very straightforward. Everyone in Kurdistan can get it. It's for citizens, also for residents, legal residents. If you have a passport and a residence card in Kurdistan, and if you're a foreigner worker here, can also get it. And You go to one of our 25, 26 stations, provide 10 fingerprints, 2 iris, 1 face photo, a bunch of biographic information, national ID, etc. And in the end, we give you a 13-digit number unique to you throughout your life. You're going to stay with you. And we're doing that in expanding this to more and more places, and even children would be getting digital IDs even before getting a name. And this is extremely important because now we can connect data, right? See, your health system data is now connected to education data. It's connected to the taxes. It's connected to the, etc. With the whole government service series that we're given to you. And this is why the digital ID is extremely crucial, because without the digital ID, a digital first identity document, it's extremely difficult to bring together all of these services and abstract away as many possible steps from the user as possible. In the end, the citizens' need is to get a service and obtain a service. We shouldn't burden them with the bureaucracy behind it. It's not their job to understand how the system works behind. It's actually the government's problem to solve this for them. And that's what digital government is about. And the key factor and the cornerstone of this is actually digital IDs. And we've recently made sure that digital IDs can even be further utilized by introducing an application called KRD Pass, which basically very similar to UAE Pass and Sync Pass in Singapore, where people can onboard themselves and basically use all government services in one application, where we bring all government services to the tap of their finger. All of this is basically enabled by digital IDs.
Thank you. Well, we'll come back to you in a little bit. That was very extensive, and I think Kurdistan in general as a region is going forward with all of these digitalization systems and platforms that we have in place nowadays. Now let's move on to Mr. Faris. Mr. Faris has his own company. He's the CEO of Paynest, based in Dubai. They are digitizing payments for schools, public entities, and other partners. And this is something that I think we can also take note from and maybe even apply to our region here. So, Mr. Faris, I'd love for you to share about your model. How is your business operating and how we can implement that in the region?
Well, thank you so much, Doriana, and the respected panel I'm sitting with. Thank you for the opportunity. Uh, Paynest have being very diversified. We were born in 2021 in DIFC in Innovation Hub, and we became a partners with one of the regional emerging bank, commercial bank of Dubai. We are the technology partners with them. So we started digitizing with the school fee payments within the Dubai, as it was an uncapped market over there. And if anybody sitting here from Dubai, they know that the numbers are very huge in order to cater that. And the busy life of Dubai, where parents were very unable to go to schools and make the payments. So we have come up with the idea with the bank itself to digitize those payments. We have created a simple application and a web portal for the schools, where if we are sitting over here and I suddenly come to know that I haven't paid the fees for my children from the simple application, I can just know what is the school fee payment for my child and I just pay it. Or for those, of course, we do need acquirers, issuers, and all that. And parents, because it's a very hefty transaction, so they're enjoying cashbacks. So this is how we are giving back to the community in terms of some rewards and loyalty program in that. Coming back to the public sector, we have a very huge and a diverse profile on that. But before coming to that, I would like to give some points with the respected panel have given regarding the AI. AI actually, we can say, is artificial intelligence will not work if it is not being set properly. It do need mobility, it do need identity, it does need the payments, and it requires a data. If these four pillars are not there, AI is not going to help you in any case. Infrastructure can one of the part of that. The gentleman was talking about China and USA. Yes, they do are competing with each other in this era. But if you're not giving a right thing towards the AI, you are not going to have any emerging thing out of that. It's just a waste of data which you are doing. Uh, Going to the public sector, we are working as I've been listening to the use cases over here, people are here from real estate industry, tourism industry. So luckily, we're working with all of them. If we talk about the real estate industry, how we digitize that in Dubai, I have seen the 20 billion of investment have came to Kurdistan in terms of the money. Of course, this is the investment which have came being used in the infrastructure, but it is going to resell and the prices are going to increase for the property and so on. But there is a proper channel. If you refer back to 2008, the recession which happened in GCC region in terms of real estate, what they have learned from their mistakes. Kurdistan is an emerging market, so they can actually implement it over here. How did they come up with that? So the government and the banking channels, they came together, built up a solution where they secured the investor, they secured the developer and the end user as well. How? Because they have formed the Dubai Land Department. The financial institutions come along with that. So that any payment which is been happening for the developers, for their inventory holders, for their marketing, for the people who are doing the construction is happening through an escrow system. So the escrow system was introduced over there, which was regulated by the government itself. I believe people from Dubai they can relate to that if they're from the real estate industry. Yeah. So it has become so regulated now. If I'm going to buy the apartment in Dubai, I know as an investor I'm safe because the developer is not going anywhere. The money is sitting into the escrow, and the people who are doing the construction for that, they are also safe. And the payment channels are very, very pure and very transparent to that. So this is one of the rare cases where we are working and digitizing the banks in terms of giving them escrow digital systems for that. Coming back to the tourism, I was hearing some very interesting news from the tourism from these gentlemen over here, and thank you for the lesson that you have to keep smiling when you are welcoming the people. So I remember when you came to my office, I was really impressed by your hospitality over in my office itself when you were inviting me. Thank you so much for that. It gives me courage to come here. But it comes to an tourism itself. As one of the gentlemen said, the 4 billion of if investment has happened over here in Kurdistan in terms of tourism. But having said that, as I said before, where is the data? Data is the key thing where you can keep bringing the tourists back to the country. How? What are their spending habits? Well, I'm relating to a live use cases which has been happening with me from last 24 hours. We went to a very famous restaurant out there in Erbil. Unfortunately, they were unable to accept QR codes. They were unable to accept any payment link. The only mode of payment was cash, either the Iraqi dinar or the US dollars. Now, from someone like me who is coming from Dubai or like have been around the world, it was a little surprising for me. But understanding that since it's an emerging market, totally understandable. But bringing those people that money which is lying cash into the people drawers is not going to make impact to the economy. The government, as my colleague rightly said, that it's not the citizens issue, it's the government issue. Government has to implement those plans in order to give something in return. Those who are handling the cash bring it to the bank, make it a proper channel, and do the whitelisting for that. I think that would really help impacting those things. For the tourism aspect, I'm surprised that the people are coming to Kurdistan, and you have such an amazing scenery to see, which we're going to see obviously. We have been to Asia Pacific region working with the Malaysian government, and recently I was in Philippines meeting the first lady over there. The our use case study was Malaysia, since they have a very much tourists coming every year. So they have come up with the idea, which will these gentlemen relate to. How does the occupancy happens? How does the payments happening? What are the habits of the tourists when they are coming to the country itself? So we have built a complete ecosystem for the Malaysian tourism industry where there's one application for that. While applying your visa, converting your currency through a digital wallet from our application, booking the hotels. As these gentlemen will agree with me, if I am going to Europe or going to anywhere in the world and using private channels to book the hotels, I believe they're taking very high commissions from you, right? When it comes to the government initiative, what we did is we bring the governments on board within that application where hotels are going to list, and the government is going to charge a very minimum charge for that, and it's mandated by the government. So the government has to take such initiatives like Kurdistan government, those who are very much into diversification in terms of digitalization. So these type of ecosystems, I think, would help Kurdistan to grow more in that era. And 6.5 million people you have, mashallah, in this country. Out of that, 2 million users are already using the semi-digitization thing. So the gap is actually an opportunity. It's not a problem. We just need to fill in this gap in terms of the different governments where we are working with. And obviously, as a painist coming from Dubai, which is, I must say I'm living there, but not being biased, is number one in so many things. And we must replicate those things in a proper way and bring it locally in terms of doing those stuff. So I think this is something which we can relate towards the use cases which we're discussing today.
Absolutely. And I think on our panel today, we have a very interesting diversification when it comes to AI, because with Mr. Faris and Paynest, we have AI in finance and payment systems. With Mr. Brusk, we have it in government. And with Dr. Ulf, we have it in energy. So let's go back to Dr. Ulf. If you could tell us a little bit more about how we can tie AI into energy and into renewable energy, and how both of these things can work together, and where can we potentially go from there, and how can we develop and innovate?
Okay. These are actually two different questions. On the one hand side, you need a lot of energy for AI applications, data centers, but you can also use AI to optimize energy systems. And this is a completely different discussion, but I will address both very quickly.
We are talking about tying them together, so go ahead and tie them up.
All right. So at present, I'll give you a use case. I work a lot in Indonesia. I mentioned this earlier. ByteDance, Chinese company, TikTok, everyone knows, wants to move a data center into Indonesia to reduce the latency because far away. And Indonesia, a big market. But more importantly, ASEAN is a 1 billion people market in the near future. Right now, it's the population of Europe, 700 million people. So one thing to tap into it is to become a hub for the data management for a particular large-scale application. And for that, you have to be competitive. So competitive means regulatory competitive, regulation-wise, energy-wise, and as well talent, right? Indonesia is competing a lot with Singapore. Singapore, much more developed. Now, here the case is a bit similar. You have Dubai, the gentleman is from Dubai. But you can say, okay, why should an emerging market not also be able to do that if it can provide other advantages? For instance, very good regulatory advantages. That can be subsidies, that can be all kind of other advantages, or very cheap energy in order to bring that to the region itself, number one. In the case of Indonesia, one other concern is, in fact, national security. Indonesia is a large country, and they have a lot of security concerns. There's a bit of competition also with China now. They want to control their own data, and it's very important to them to have their own data centers and at large scale. Anyways, having said that, that's one side of the equation. If you followed the recent announcement of NVIDIA, NVIDIA has announced the virtual factories, and there's about 70 companies that have been contributing to that, including Siemens from Germany. And this is just the beginning, essentially virtualizing the whole industrial process. And what they are arguing is that at this point, we are going, not just talking about data, we're talking about physical systems. And we're talking physical systems, we're talking about robotics, we're talking about drones when it comes to warfare, we're talking about industrial, we're talking about households, we're talking about transportation systems and cars, for instance, but much more larger systems. So much more data processing will happen in the future, and it can only be done if we're using AI. We don't have that capacity anymore. And this is why this year was called the year of agentic AI. So we're building agents that can do that. But in the future, it will go to autonomous systems, right? And we hear these words. And I wouldn't claim I've ever built an autonomous system, but or I wouldn't even claim I'm able to do that myself. But the point is something else. The point is that if as a region, and specifically here also in Kurdistan, you would say, look, we want to be part of this equation, which role can you play? And I travel a lot around the world myself, and I think there's always a role to play. And it doesn't matter who you are and from where you start. If you're serious about a certain topic, it is possible. And to be a bit more concrete, I think on the one hand side, you do have cheap energy here. Right now in the US, most of the data centers are built with gas. The price of gas turbines tripled in the US this year for that purpose, for that reason. At the same time, you could also say, and this is what is a big discussion, is the revival of nuclear is what is being discussed in many places. But where can you actually build nuclear? Okay, not necessarily in Indonesia. Indonesia has a lot of volcanoes, as you may know. Anyways, long story short, since you wanted me to, I'll tie it in and I'll finish up.
Please do.
Some companies have become system integrators, right? And that's where NVIDIA is going. And that's why NVIDIA is claiming to become a $10 trillion company. So, but in those systems, you need a lot of different entities that plug into those systems. So what I could recommend today, everyone, is to figure out how can you plug into such a virtual system and which part can you play. You can sit on the consumer side, you can sit on the regulatory side, you can sit on the supply side, I develop projects and work with partners on being on the energy side. Anyways, I'll stop here. I am a professor by training, by the way. I can talk the whole day if I want to.
You have a lot of valuable information, and I think especially when it comes to AI and technology and where we're moving forward, there's definitely a lot of topics to discuss. But thank you so much for sharing what you have so far. Let's move to Mr. Brusk. I actually want to talk a little bit more about how you plan on getting more people to start using your systems, to start digitalizing all of their documentations, to start becoming a part of the platform. And I also would like to know, what are the services that this particular platform can serve? So I know for a lot of people, because this is something new to the region, they might not necessarily feel too motivated to start using digital platforms. I know we had a lot of challenges, especially when it came to having a banking system and using banking cards and accounts. And it took some time to educate and let people understand that this is actually more efficient than paper. So let's go back to that. And if you could please tell me those outlets that you plan to roll out to attract more people and have them registered on your governmental platforms.
Definitely. So when it comes to the digital services that we digitalize, we have a matrix to determine the priority, right? Which one is the most important ones? And for citizens, we look for one of the key factors we take into account is citizen satisfaction, where the services that it's very mundane, very difficult for them to go through. We in Clarity Passes and as I said, the digital ID application, mobile application that we have rolled out in August. It's in beta phase, by the way. It's experimental so far. We're adding more to it as we go. We are surprised to know 200,000 people started using it right away since August. And with minimum kind of services that we have put in, we just wanted to see if people can use it, get themselves on board. What we are offering to them in the application now is that if you're a government employee, you would be seeing your salary breakdown for every month, the data in there, and it's in real time because it's connected to the payroll system that we have also developed. If you are a business owner, if you have a business, you will be able to see all of your business information and details. But what we are adding is a lot more and extensively when it comes to KYC information. Clarity Pass's goal here is to, because we have the data, the identity document of the people that we have registered, the key principle that we are following here is ask me once policy. For those who are from Kurdistan, they know that the bureaucratic hell in Kurdistan is very, very stressing. When you go to government offices, they keep asking for the same identity documents over and over. There's a list of them: passport, national ID, etc. And if we have all of these identity documents at our disposal, there is no reason why we should be asking them over and over again from the citizen. And that's one of the main features that we're bringing into Clarity Pass, called the Vault, where all of your identity documents, all of the documents that you have from the government is in there, digitally signed, and you can share it with every other party that you want, be it first-party government services and third-party. And this is extremely important, and especially for this crowd here. What we are doing is we're allowing citizens to share their KYC data based on their consent with third parties. Imagine a banking company, an online banking company that would like so that asks for KYC information from the citizen that so that a bank account can be created. You can easily use KRD Pass for that, where you share your data with the bank at your own consent and given the granular kind of access where what is required and what is necessary to be shared. You can tick them and untick them, and it's in your control. We try to be as GDPR compliant as possible. And this is a great enabler because our job as the government is to enable the private sector. And as my colleague here mentioned, it's about opportunities. Once you enable the private sector with all of these utilities at their disposal, a lot of businesses would emerge. Going back to the other services that we're adding in late December this year and maybe around early January next year, we're going to be introducing online payments in KRD Pass, where you'll be able to pay for electricity, Ronaki project very soon with traffic fine violations, all of those tickets that are on you, and gradually adding a lot more utility bills and centralizing all of the government bills in one place within a project that we call the EBBP, or the Electronic Bill Presentment and Payment. And we are already in partnership with a lot of tech providers and payment service providers, including local wallets, so that they can be part of the ecosystem where citizens can have the choice of paying from their options, from their the different wallets that they want to choose. And in the next stages, we'll also be bringing on as many digital services of the government into the KRD Pass. Internally, a lot of times we call the KRD Pass a Swiss knife army. Right? You can do whatever you want with it. There's a lot of things, and the sky's limit is when it comes to digital services. But our strategy is usually to show value first, where it bring the most important things to the people and things that they can make their lives easier first, and we can take it from there.
I can imagine that this wasn't easy to build, considering that it wasn't present before. And I wanted to ask you about the challenges that you have faced and are currently facing, whether it be the data, maybe you have lack of data in that sense. To build data, you still need data, right?
Right.
So you need to collect that. I'd imagine there's also skills regulation, culture, maybe talent as well, or maybe there are other issues we need to be aware of. So please
Yep.
let us know what it is that you're dealing with that perhaps maybe other international companies can also step in and help you out with that.
Absolutely. I think on the issue of skills, Kurdistan is extremely blessed with a lot of skills. The entire digital foundation of Kurdistan was built by locals. Zero foreigners, zero people who almost didn't even get consultancy help from anyone else. So when it comes to engineering and hard skills, we have plenty of very skilled people and very young people who are doing a brilliant job. We built a data center in 2020 and it was inaugurated by His Excellency the Prime Minister in 2022, a tier 3 data center in Kurdistan. We're building a couple of more data centers, and this is mainly driven by our data sovereignty problem. Because Kurdistan's data must stay in Kurdistan, the citizens' data must stay in Kurdistan. And more importantly, we have some kind of unique problems that maybe it doesn't exist in other countries, like internet cuts being used as a weapon against you by neighboring countries. And that's something that we absolutely don't want to happen. That's why we have built things within, so that even if there's an internet cut on Kurdistan, the government service still work because everything is within, is inside. And the data center hosts virtually all digital services of the government, the other digital services. And we're sitting on the top of massive data. And that's why we recently have created the data governance and artificial intelligence team at the department, where we're first laying out the data strategy, because without the data strategy, there is no AI strategy. And this has been because we want to utilize what is out there, what the systems are producing massive amount of data. Now it's time to warehouse them, lake them, and to use them again. When it comes to the challenges, I would say it's not skills, it's not regulations, it's not even political support is there from top leadership, and that's why we have been able to be successful. That's the key factor driving this. But it's the people. I am a graduate of the American University of Sulaimani, and back 10 years ago when I was taking classes, I didn't understand why there is so much emphasis on soft skills. I was saying, just let's get to writing code and do stuff, and there's so much emphasis on soft skills. Fast forward 10 years, I now appreciate it more than ever, because I realized that the problem is now the machines with technicalities, mostly people, just the mindset, the mentality. And the entire digital transformation strategy requires what we call a holistic approach, right? The entire government needs to move forward together. There's no way that we're going to be individually moving forward and the rest of them are behind. So we have a lot of challenges when it comes to this, and we're tackling this, I think, in the right approach. We have developed methodologies in the past 5 years to tackle this problem, getting their buy-ins, early onboarding of stakeholders, prototyping early on, discussing things with them, giving them a sense of ownership. But nevertheless, the resistance to change is there, and the mentality and the mindset of, let's say, when it comes to certain in certain times officials within the government, where it's not also intentional, it's just that this whole digital thing is new to everyone. It's just very, very difficult for many people to understand how it works. So I'll say that sums up really the challenges that we have. It's there's so many other, I would say, non-functional problems, right, surrounding the whole thing: political turbulence, financial turbulence, and what is happening. You cannot change the government when you have financial issues deep down, even with salaries, etc. You would not be very easy to require change as well. So you're moving while making sure that you're not hurting anyone, but making progress as well. So I think the main problem here, I would say, is just people and the procedures that are controlled by those people.
And are there any opportunities, you would say, for international investors to come in and partner with KRG? Are there any projects, potential projects that we can speak on today, maybe that they could be interested in joining and actually aiding you, and maybe, like I said earlier, to provide you with some assistance with
Yep.
those challenges. So is KRG government essentially, are they open to these international partnerships?
Absolutely. I think the key idea here is that there's 500 government services that needs to be digitalized, and we will not be able to do it alone. And we will not do it alone, even if we can. So the experience of the international partners, and we have international partners, by the way, some very solid ones that we have been working with, and they've been providing technology to us. And without their help, it had been impossible to move forward. And there's room for everyone to basically work with the KRG, especially when it comes to the big next topic, if not the present topic, is just AI, right? In the development of AI. Although we are taking our steps into tapping into AI and its problems and its development, the key remaining thing for Kurdistan is the development of a LLM, a Kurdish LLM, a large language model, which needs an enormous amount of multidimensional effort from data, power, resources, computation, skills, linguistics, a lot of things, and that's not going to be easy. And we're looking forward to having as many partners on this as possible. And there's so many projects that the private sector and especially the international partners can help with, and we have been very lucky in the past to have many of them on our site.
That's great. This actually brings me to my next question to Mr. Faris. If you could tell us a little bit more about the payment systems that you have established for the schools in Dubai. And the idea here is to maybe one day have the same financial system applied here. Even though right now we are facing challenges when it comes to the banking systems, but we're slowly rolling out these initiatives as we are doing today with the government IDs, with the banks, with digitalization, online wallets, and so on. So I imagine you would need all of these moving parts in order to have a system like yours. So potentially, as a future partner with the services that you have provided, is this something that you can do? And also, how can this particular model be applied?
All right. It's a very simple strategy. We just need to understand the ecosystem of the education system in Kurdistan, especially in Erbil, how it is happening. I believe the school fee payments are either being paid by cash currently or maybe by bank transfers, because since banking is still emerging over here. So the idea is to just bring in a banking sector within. I believe there are numerous schools out there in Erbil using different banks, because everybody has its own priority to use whatever bank they choose to do the banking with, and bringing Ministry of Education within this ecosystem, so where the things will become more transparent. For example, if we provide a complete reconciliation system to the school where they don't have to use any other ERP except what we are giving them. So, if any payment which is happening by the parents through a digital wallet which we are providing them, or using their debit, credit cards, or a payment channels, whatever the mean where the government wanted to mandate that, so the transactions comes very transparent, very frequent, and the reconciliation is very easy for the bank itself, and it is also reducing the efforts, as my colleague rightly said, that AI is not only, again I'm repeating this, that it will work it way on. We have to create the limitations for it. We have to create a proper channel for it in order to work. And while doing that, the Ministry of Education can actually know how much money has been rolled out by the parents or the government who is supporting the students, the citizens of the country, has been rolled out towards the community. What are the drawbacks? How they can enhance, like doing the predictive analysis, that where they need to spend and how they need to spend the money out of that. They will understand the consumer behavior, the parents' behavior, how relatively they are paying the fees. So it's a very simple mechanism, not very complex. You just need to implement it in a right way according to the region's settings.
Mhm.
This is how it can happen.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
Mr.
to
Faris.
answer my colleague, Mr. Bursk, you have an international partner sitting next to you. So don't worry about the other 500 digitization which you want to do.
Thank you so much.
We'll help you out.
Absolutely. This is the idea.
We'll help you out for that.
Here, there you go. This is BIP Summit first deal. This is, in fact, what the BIP is all about, is bringing investors together and offering those opportunities in order to discuss potential future joint partnerships that we can have. And we are running, unfortunately, out of time. But since the topic is about investment, quickly, I'd like to ask each one of you to tell me if in the next 3 to 5 years you were to invest into a particular AI area, which area would that be? Let's start with Dr. Ulf.
So I stay with my power topic. We are actually right now working on listing a large portfolio of projects in Hong Kong, and we're looking for projects so we can probably work together in the future for the region, moving in here, obviously. So I think the power question has to be solved. It has to be solved in a sustainable way. We don't want to have a climate collapse, and we want to have a lot more AI in the future. So yes, thank you. That sums it up.
How about you, Mr. Bress?
Would you repeat the question, please?
Yes. So, in which area in particular would you recommend investors to invest in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yep.
If we're looking particularly in the AI field.
I think what I'm going to say is very niche, very specific, but I would say cybersecurity.
Very good.
Because the need for digital services is just growing, and the threats that are coming with it is maximizing. And I think the modern problems require modern solutions. The problems that you're getting now in cybersecurity is quite different because of AI. AI is maximizing the problems there, and you need good countermeasures powered by AI on the same field.
I actually agree with him very much. I invested myself in a European startup for that purpose.
Yeah.
Amazing. And how about you, Mr. Faris? In which area would you invest in or would recommend to invest
We
in?
are from the payment digitization background, but rightly said by Mr. Bursk and the gentleman that cybersecurity is one of the issue which is occurring everywhere in the world, not only this region, Europe, GCC, everybody is suffering from that, scams are happening and all that. Perhaps my understanding regarding this region is quite limited for this, but I must say that tourism is one of the industry where you need kind of super apps and ecosystems built around that particular thing. Customs is one of them. As far as my information is concerned, that it takes a lot of time for goods to be cleared due to maybe regional tensions and all that, but it can be elevated through the systems in an efficient way where the customs payments can happen very easily and the goods can be declared through predictive analysis and agentic AI as well. As gentleman said that you are already working with the fines, but related to police there are so many other services which still needs to be digitized. Not only fines, there are infrastructure required, there are AI cameras required, much hardware requires. Smart parking systems, I believe, I haven't seen it in the region yet, but it could be one of the potential over here as well, and list goes on and on. I don't want to take much of your time, but these are, I think, the main things which I have seen in terms of our domain can be digitized. And the backbone of every economy is actually the government and the banking sector. If they are in right direction, everybody will, the economy will grow, and the youth will enjoy, and the citizens will have their the maximum capacity to enjoy what government has to give back to them. So there is a saying, actually a quote from, since I represent two countries, Pakistan and Dubai, so I'll quote both the founder of Pakistan. He said, unity will brings you the success, faith, whatever you follow that, and discipline. I think Kurdistan is in the right direction of doing that. And His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, he always say, which actually always when I'm going to work, always trigger me. He said in one of his interview, either you are a lion or you're a ghazal. you better start running. So Kurdistan is in the right direction. You just need to start running in the right direction. That's it.
Absolutely. Thank
Thank
you
you.
all so much for your
you.
time today. Please join me in thanking Dr. Ulf, Mr. Brusk, and Mr. Faris. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.